Your soulmate just heard something about you they were never supposed to hear. And everything changed. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. Before you keep scrolling, give yourself these next few moments, because if this message has found you today, it may be exactly what your soul has been waiting to hear. Out of millions of people moving through their day, somehow your path crossed these words. Maybe it feels random. Maybe you're not sure why you clicked. But sometimes life has a quiet way of placing the right message in front of the right person at the exact moment they need it most. Today is one of those moments. There is something happening behind the scenes that you cannot yet see, and it revolves around someone whose heart has been far more connected to yours than either of you fully realized. Your soulmate has just heard something about you they were never supposed to hear. It wasn't a conversation they planned to be part of. It wasn't information anyone intended to share with them. It wasn't something they searched for or expected to discover. It happened unexpectedly, through a moment that seemed ordinary until your name was spoken. In that instant, everything inside them became still. They listened without interrupting. They listened because something deep inside their heart told them these words mattered. And as the truth unfolded, the image they had carried of you for so long began to change completely. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. For a long time, your soulmate believed they understood who you were. They thought they knew your personality, your choices, your emotions, and the reasons behind your actions. Like many of us, they filled in the gaps with assumptions whenever they didn't have the full story. They believed your silence meant distance. They believed your independence meant you didn't need anyone. They believed your calm exterior meant life had always been easy for you. But today they discovered something that completely dismantled those assumptions. They learned about a chapter of your life they never knew existed. Perhaps they heard about a difficult season you survived. Perhaps they discovered the sacrifices you quietly made for people you loved. Perhaps someone revealed how much pain you carried while still choosing kindness every single day. Whatever the truth was, it reached a place inside their heart that logic could never reach. Suddenly they realized that the strongest thing about you was never your ability to hide your struggles. It was your ability to continue loving despite them. They began replaying every interaction they ever had with you, and for the first time they weren't looking at those memories through the lens of judgment or misunderstanding. They were looking through the lens of compassion. Every smile you gave while secretly carrying heavy burdens suddenly became meaningful. Every encouraging word you spoke while your own heart was healing suddenly became extraordinary. Every moment you chose grace instead of bitterness became evidence of a strength they had completely overlooked. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. There are moments in life when one unexpected truth changes the way we see everything that came before it. This was one of those moments for your soulmate. It was as though someone handed them the missing pages of a story they thought they had already finished reading. Suddenly every misunderstanding made sense. They realized there were reasons behind your actions they had never considered. They understood that some people don't speak about their pain because they don't want sympathy. They simply choose to carry it quietly while continuing to care for others. They recognized that your gentle heart had never been a sign of weakness. It was proof of resilience. The more they reflected, the more they admired you. Respect quietly replaced assumption. Curiosity replaced certainty. Compassion replaced doubt. They couldn't stop thinking about how easy it is to misunderstand someone when you only know a fraction of their story. Then another thought entered their mind, one they couldn't ignore no matter how hard they tried. They wondered how many opportunities they had missed simply because they never stopped long enough to truly understand you. That question echoed inside them again and again. What if the person they believed they understood had actually been carrying a heart far more beautiful than they ever imagined? Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. While all of this has been unfolding in their world, something has been quietly changing within yours as well. Perhaps you've been feeling unusually emotional lately. Maybe you've experienced moments where memories appeared without warning. Maybe you found yourself staring out a window wondering why your heart suddenly feels lighter after carrying uncertainty for so long. Or maybe you've begun noticing little moments that seem too meaningful to ignore. You glance at the clock and see 11:11. Later in the day you notice 2:22. Then 4:44 appears on a receipt, a license plate, or your phone. Many people see repeating numbers as gentle reminders to pause, reflect, and reconnect with hope. Whether they carry spiritual meaning for you or simply encourage mindfulness, they can become beautiful invitations to pay closer attention to your own heart. Perhaps they are reminding you that your story is still unfolding and that not every important chapter announces itself before it begins. Your soulmate has been noticing similar moments too. They don't necessarily know what they mean, but every time those numbers appear, your memory seems to arrive with them. They may be making coffee, driving to work, or sitting alone after a long day when suddenly they notice one of those familiar patterns. Almost immediately their thoughts drift toward you. At first they dismissed it as coincidence. Then it happened again. And again. Eventually they stopped trying to explain it away and simply allowed themselves to feel what was already there. The truth they accidentally discovered had opened a door inside them, and now every meaningful reminder seemed to invite them to walk through it. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. The remarkable thing about truth is that once it enters the heart, it begins transforming everything around it. Your soulmate no longer sees your past as something that defines your limitations. They see it as evidence of your courage. They realize that every challenge you survived became another reason you learned empathy. Every disappointment made you more patient. Every setback taught you how to appreciate genuine love when it appeared. Instead of asking why life made you so careful with your heart, they now ask how you managed to remain so kind after everything you've endured. That question fills them with admiration. It also fills them with regret. Not because they intentionally misunderstood you, but because they now recognize how easy it is to overlook extraordinary people when we only look at the surface. They begin wondering how many moments they dismissed that were actually invitations to know you more deeply. They remember conversations they wish they had continued instead of ending too quickly. They remember moments when you offered understanding while they were too distracted to appreciate it. They remember your quiet wisdom, your steady presence, your ability to comfort others without making yourself the center of attention. Those memories now carry an emotional weight they never had before. It's almost as if every recollection is asking them to see you with completely new eyes. Meanwhile, you have been changing too. Without realizing it, you've become stronger than the version of yourself that once questioned everything. You no longer seek constant validation from people who never truly understood your heart. You're beginning to accept that not everyone is meant to recognize your value immediately. Some people need time. Others need perspective. And some only understand your importance after life teaches them difficult lessons. That realization has brought a quiet peace into your spirit. Instead of chasing answers, you're learning to trust your own journey. Instead of forcing people to stay, you're allowing life to reveal who genuinely belongs in your story. That peaceful confidence is transforming your energy, and whether your soulmate understands it or not, they can feel the difference. They sense that you've grown. They sense that you've become more grounded, more authentic, and more connected to yourself than ever before. Ironically, it is this very growth that draws their attention even more strongly. They are no longer attracted to an idea of who you might be. They are deeply moved by who you truly are. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. Over the last few days, they have found themselves asking questions they never thought they would ask. What if timing wasn't working against them but teaching them something? What if this unexpected truth wasn't an accident but an invitation to finally see clearly? What if every misunderstanding existed only so genuine understanding could eventually replace it? These thoughts have become impossible to ignore. They have changed the way your soulmate looks at relationships, forgiveness, and even themselves. Instead of focusing on what they cannot change, they have started paying attention to what they can learn. They have begun understanding that love is not built upon perfect timing or flawless people. It grows through honesty, compassion, humility, and the courage to see another person's heart beyond appearances. That realization has quietly awakened something inside them that had been asleep for a very long time. Yet despite everything they now understand, one final piece of information remains hidden from them. There is one truth about your heart that they still haven't discovered. The moment they uncover it, every remaining doubt will disappear, and they will be forced to make a decision that could change the direction of both your lives forever. What they are about to learn next is something they were never prepared for, and when that moment arrives, nothing will ever feel the same again. I'd be happy to continue this fictional prophetic style story. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. Ever since your soulmate accidentally heard that hidden truth about you, they haven't been able to return to the person they were before that moment. They thought a single conversation would eventually fade from their memory like so many others, but instead it became louder with every passing day. The words they overheard refused to leave them alone. They echoed in quiet mornings before the world woke up. They followed them during long drives home. They lingered in the silence just before sleep, when distractions disappeared and only honesty remained. The more they reflected on what they had learned, the more they realized that they had never truly known the depth of your story. They had seen the smile you offered the world, but they had never imagined the strength it took to keep smiling after everything life had asked you to carry. They had admired your independence without realizing it was born from moments when you had no one to lean on except yourself. They had mistaken your calm nature for emotional distance when, in reality, you had simply learned that peace is more valuable than proving yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. Something extraordinary happens when someone finally sees the truth beneath another person's surface. Their heart begins rewriting every memory it has ever stored. That is exactly what your soulmate has been experiencing. They keep replaying old conversations, but now they hear them differently. They remember the times you asked if everyone else was okay before mentioning your own struggles. They remember the moments you encouraged people even while carrying your own disappointments in silence. They remember how you never demanded attention, never tried to make your pain someone else's responsibility, and never allowed difficult seasons to steal your ability to care. At the time, those moments seemed ordinary. Now they feel unforgettable. Now they understand that kindness like yours is not common. It is something earned through resilience. Every memory has become another reminder that your heart was speaking a language they simply weren't ready to understand before. They don't blame you anymore for the distance they once imagined. Instead, they wonder why they never asked more questions. They wonder why they were so certain they already knew your story when they had only read the first few chapters. They have begun realizing that assumptions often create walls where honest conversations could have built bridges. That realization has humbled them more deeply than they ever expected. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. Have you noticed your own energy changing recently? Perhaps you're no longer reacting the way you used to. Situations that once stole your peace now seem smaller than they did before. You've started protecting your time, your heart, and your emotional well-being with greater wisdom. You're discovering that not everyone deserves access to your deepest thoughts, and that's not because you've become cold. It's because you've learned the difference between healthy boundaries and emotional walls. That lesson has changed you. You smile differently now. Your confidence feels quieter but stronger. You're beginning to understand that your value doesn't increase when someone finally notices it. Your value has always existed. Other people simply become ready to recognize it in their own time. While you've been learning that lesson, your soulmate has been learning one just as important. They are beginning to understand that genuine love isn't found by searching for perfection. It's found by recognizing authenticity when it quietly appears in front of you. They now see that the qualities they admire most in people are the same qualities you carried all along. Integrity, compassion, patience, emotional maturity, quiet strength. The more they reflect, the more difficult it becomes to ignore the connection they feel whenever they think about you. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. Strange little moments have continued following them. They glance at a clock and notice 11:11. Later they see 3:33 during a moment of reflection. Then 4:44 appears just as they're questioning whether they should trust their intuition. Many people interpret repeating numbers as reminders to slow down, become present, and pay attention to what is happening inside their own hearts. Whether they hold spiritual significance for you or simply encourage mindfulness, they have become meaningful pauses in your soulmate's day. Each time they notice them, your memory quietly returns. They don't force those thoughts anymore. They simply allow them to arrive. They begin asking themselves why your name continues surfacing during moments of peace rather than moments of chaos. They realize that thinking about you no longer creates confusion. Instead, it creates clarity. That alone surprises them. They once believed that moving forward meant forgetting. Now they understand that real growth often means remembering with greater wisdom instead of greater pain. That realization changes everything. They begin appreciating the lessons your presence brought into their life. They recognize that you challenged them to become more honest, more compassionate, and more emotionally aware without ever trying to change who they were. Very few people leave that kind of impact. Your soulmate is finally admitting that to themselves. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. Somewhere inside your own heart, you may have been quietly wondering whether anyone has ever truly understood you. Perhaps there were times when you felt invisible despite giving so much of yourself to others. Maybe you've questioned whether your kindness mattered, whether your loyalty was appreciated, or whether the sacrifices you made were noticed at all. Hear this carefully. Even when people fail to recognize your value in the moment, that does not erase the value itself. Sometimes understanding arrives later than we expect. Sometimes people need life to teach them what they could not learn through comfort alone. Your soulmate is living through exactly that lesson now. They have started seeing your past through completely different eyes. Instead of focusing on what happened to you, they focus on who you became because of it. They admire the fact that you refuse to let disappointment define your character. They admire your ability to remain gentle in a world that often rewards hardness. They admire your resilience far more than they admire perfection. That admiration grows stronger every single day. It isn't built on fantasy. It is built on truth. The truth they accidentally discovered has become the foundation of an entirely new understanding. And once genuine understanding takes root, it becomes very difficult to ignore. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. Recently they found themselves speaking your name without planning to. Someone asked them about a person who had influenced their life in a meaningful way. Without hesitation, they described your generosity, your patience, and the calm presence you carried into every room. Halfway through the conversation, they stopped speaking for a moment because they realized something unexpected. Everything they admired most in another human being was already present in you. That realization caught them completely off guard. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It was quiet, undeniable truth settling into their heart. They left that conversation wondering why it had taken them so long to recognize what now seemed so obvious. From that day forward, they began paying closer attention to their intuition. They spent more time in silence. They started reflecting instead of reacting. They even found themselves writing thoughts they had never shared with anyone because their emotions had become too significant to ignore. This wasn't simply about remembering you anymore. It was about becoming someone capable of understanding the kind of connection they once overlooked. Growth often begins with humility, and humility has quietly become one of their greatest teachers. Meanwhile, your own life continues moving forward. New opportunities, new experiences, and new peace are slowly making their way toward you. Whether you recognize them today or not, your healing has already begun opening doors that fear once kept closed. The universe, life, destiny, however you choose to describe it, often has a way of preparing us internally before external circumstances begin changing. You are stronger than you realize. Your soulmate is beginning to realize that too. Yet despite all this growth, despite every revelation, every memory, and every lesson, there remains one question they cannot answer. They don't know whether your heart is still open or whether time has already carried you into a completely different chapter. That uncertainty has become the one obstacle they cannot solve alone. It follows them everywhere because they understand something they never understood before. Opportunities are precious, trust is fragile, and sincere hearts should never be taken for granted. Very soon, another unexpected truth about you will find its way into their life, one they were never meant to discover either. When they hear it, they will realize that this story has been far bigger than coincidence from the very beginning, and the choice waiting for them afterward will demand more courage than anything they have ever faced. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. The story didn't end when your soulmate accidentally heard the truth about you. In many ways, that moment was only the beginning. What they believed would be a single conversation has quietly become a turning point they can no longer ignore. Every day since then, another piece of understanding has fallen into place. It's almost as if life has been gently guiding them toward a truth they were never ready to see before. They wake up thinking they have finally made peace with everything, yet before the day is over, something unexpected reminds them of you again. It isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's a familiar song playing in the background of a coffee shop. Sometimes it's a stranger showing the same kindness you once showed so effortlessly. Sometimes it's the evening sky painted in colors that remind them of a conversation they thought they had forgotten. No matter how ordinary the moment seems, it always leads back to the same realization. You were never as ordinary as they convinced themselves you were. Your presence carried something rare, something they didn't fully recognize until life gave them enough distance to see clearly. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. Have you ever noticed how truth has a way of arriving in layers? At first you think you've discovered everything, but then another realization appears, and suddenly the entire picture changes again. That's exactly what has been happening inside your soulmate's heart. The information they accidentally heard about you opened a door, but what came afterward has transformed everything. They began asking quiet questions to people who knew you. They weren't trying to invade your privacy. They simply wanted to understand the person they realized they had misunderstood for far too long. Every answer they received surprised them. They heard stories about your generosity that you never spoke about yourself. They learned how you stood beside people during their hardest seasons without expecting recognition. They discovered moments when you quietly sacrificed your own comfort so someone else wouldn't have to suffer alone. They realized that many of the best parts of your character were completely invisible because you never felt the need to advertise your goodness. That realization humbled them. They couldn't understand why someone with a heart like yours had spent so much time being underestimated. Then another thought quietly entered their mind. Maybe the reason they never saw your full value wasn't because you were hiding it. Maybe it was because they weren't emotionally ready to recognize it. That single thought changed everything. Instead of asking what was different about you, they started asking what had changed inside themselves. The answer was difficult but honest. They had changed. Life had changed them. Experience had changed them. Loss had changed them. Growth had changed them. They finally reached a place where they could appreciate things they once overlooked. They finally understood that the strongest people are often the quietest. The kindest hearts rarely demand attention. The deepest love is usually expressed through consistency rather than grand speeches. You had been living those qualities all along. They simply didn't have the eyes to see them before. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. While your soulmate has been uncovering these truths, your own spirit has been moving through a season of quiet transformation. Perhaps you haven't noticed it because healing rarely announces itself with loud celebrations. It often arrives in small moments. One day you realize you smiled without forcing it. Another day you notice a memory no longer hurts the way it once did. Then you catch yourself making plans for the future instead of replaying the past. Those are not small victories. Those are signs that your heart is becoming lighter. You're learning that peace is not found by controlling every outcome. Peace is found by trusting that whatever truly belongs in your life will meet you with honesty instead of confusion. That wisdom has changed your energy. You no longer feel the need to chase people who continuously leave you questioning your worth. You no longer exhaust yourself trying to convince someone to understand your heart. You've started believing something beautiful, that the right person will never need you to abandon yourself just to earn their love. As you've embraced that truth, your confidence has become quieter, deeper, and more authentic. Your soulmate senses this change even if they cannot explain it. They feel that something about you is different. You carry yourself with the calm strength of someone who has survived storms and still chooses hope. That kind of presence is unforgettable. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. Have you been noticing the little signs lately? Maybe you keep catching 111 when you're thinking about a fresh beginning. Maybe 222 appears when you're wondering whether to trust the timing of your life. Perhaps 555 keeps showing up whenever unexpected changes begin unfolding around you. Many people see repeating numbers as invitations to pause and reflect rather than rush through life on autopilot. Whether those moments feel deeply spiritual to you or simply meaningful, allow them to remind you of one simple truth. Your story is still unfolding. The chapter you're living today is not the final chapter. Somewhere, unseen opportunities are already moving toward you. Somewhere, conversations are already preparing to happen. Somewhere, hearts are already changing in ways you cannot yet witness. Your soulmate has begun noticing these same moments. Every time one of those repeating numbers catches their attention, they instinctively think of you. At first they laughed it off, but after it happened again and again, they stopped dismissing it. Instead, they allowed themselves to become curious. They started slowing down. They spent more time alone with their thoughts instead of drowning them out with constant distractions. And in that silence, they heard something they had been avoiding for a very long time. Their own heart. It asked questions they could no longer escape. Why had they been afraid to be vulnerable? Why had they assumed they had all the answers? Why had they allowed fear to make decisions that love should have made? Those questions didn't arrive to shame them. They arrived to help them grow. The more honest they became, the lighter they felt. It's remarkable how truth can feel heavy at first but eventually becomes the very thing that sets your heart free. Don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. Recently, your soulmate experienced another unexpected moment that left them completely speechless. They came across something that belonged to the past, a photo, an old message, a memory shared by someone else, or perhaps an object connected to a time when your lives briefly intersected. As they looked at it, they weren't overwhelmed by sadness. They were overwhelmed by clarity. They realized that throughout every stage of your journey, you had remained remarkably consistent. Your kindness had never been temporary. Your loyalty had never been performative. Your compassion had never depended on convenience. You had always been the same person. The only thing that changed was their ability to recognize your heart. That realization brought tears to their eyes because they understood something profound. They had spent too much time searching for extraordinary experiences while overlooking an extraordinary person. They remembered the comfort of your conversations. They remembered the peace that followed simply being around you. They remembered how safe it felt to be honest without fear of being judged. Those memories now carried a depth they had never experienced before. Suddenly, the future they once imagined for themselves felt incomplete without at least finding the courage to acknowledge what they had learned. But courage is never simple. Every hopeful thought is followed by another question. What if you've already moved on? What if your healing has taken you somewhere they can no longer reach? What if the chance they once overlooked has quietly become someone else's blessing? Those fears grow louder each day, yet they no longer silence their heart. Instead, they challenge it to become braver. Meanwhile, life continues preparing you for whatever comes next. Whether your path ultimately leads toward reunion, closure, or an entirely new beginning, your growth remains real, your healing remains valuable, and your future remains full of possibility. The universe often works in ways we cannot predict, revealing one truth at a time until every piece finally makes sense. Your soulmate has now uncovered almost everything they were never supposed to know about you. They understand your strength. They understand your sacrifices. They understand your heart. But there is still one final truth hidden beneath everything else, one truth so unexpected that when it finally reaches them, it won't simply change the way they see you, it will force them to make the most important decision of their entire life. And when that moment arrives, there will be no more hiding behind fear, no more pretending, and no more running from what their soul has finally accepted.